Hey everybody, Rich Lovell with the Vacaville Baseball Barn, and today I want to get into a little bit about style. Now, granted, with the Epstein hitting system, we really refer to technique, but style is also important. The reason why we don't really stay on style as much is because that's a personal preference of the player. But there are instances where we need to step in with the player and say, hey, why don't we try this? Because they've either gotten so far away from what works, or they've been made into a robot that their feet have to be like this and their hands have to be like this, and they just don't look comfortable, and it's affecting their technique. So we need to go into their style and try to make adjustments. And the way I address it with players is, hey, let's try this. You know, these are suggestions and recommendations that I'm making to you, so that a player doesn't feel like I am trying to dictate to them how they want. Whether they're closed stance like this or they have an open stance, it doesn't really matter. But what I try to do is start them somewhere, something like this. And that's why I have these cones set up here. They can either start with a wide stance and kind of step like this, but I start them here, especially younger players that are smaller with no back. They can either cross their hands or leave their hands by the side. I tend to like them to go like this to give them that feeling of the shoulder tilting down and the back elbow still moving up a little bit. So all I tell them to do is, one, we measure their inseam. We go from the front part of the plate to back where their back foot's going to be, and that's where they'll start. And then I'll adjust this second cone either towards the pitcher or towards the catcher, trying to figure out where their feet feel the most comfortable for them. And also, do they like taking this longer stride, or do they like maybe kicking their leg up from a more medium type stance? And that's all we do. We just kind of start here, and we have them rock back, and again, keep the knee on the inside part of the back foot, and when we kind of rock back or shift our weight, it's just, and then forward and they fall in. What I see is what I just did here is where they don't get wide enough in their stride. So I make sure I make a point, we want the instep out at the cone. So we'll have them start it again. And they need to do this 5, 10, maybe 15 times before that they actually say, this doesn't feel right to me. They do it once and they'll say, hey, this feels weird. This is kind of funky. Well, sure, you've never had your feet this wide apart and you've never taken that long of a stride. So we understand that. So if you have a player, or if you are a player that you just don't feel comfortable, or you're looking to increase maybe some bat speed and power, one of the ways to do it is in this weight shift, and that's what you do. Shift your weight back and then forward, and then the things that you want to check is make sure your front shoulder is tilted down, that your back elbow is back or up, whichever one you're comfortable with. We just don't want to start tucking it down. And then we look at our back knee. Is it pinched in, and is our back heel released, and is our foot slightly open? Something else that's very important as they continue doing this is to watch and make sure that they either hit toe then heel, or flat-footed on their front foot, and not heel to toe. That'll straighten up the front leg way too soon. So that's all they do. They just kind of back, take that stride, make sure their front foot is far enough out, and they repeat this. They can repeat this with a high leg kick. They can start a little bit wider, rock back, lift the leg up and forward. Again, we want them to become comfortable with that movement, and then we continue working into their technique. So if you have any other questions, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to us there, look us up on Facebook, and visit our website.